I loved her for 3 years. From the moment Sophia walked into my high school auditorium wearing that ivory cardigan and those gold-rimmed glasses, I was done. Every test I took, every lunch I skipped, every favor I called in, it was all for the chance to walk beside her, just once, without being invisible. And when she finally said yes, the summer after graduation, I thought I'd made it. The campus goddess, the dream, my girlfriend, me, but someone from the future told me I had to leave her now, or lose everything. Ryan didn't knock, he just stood in my dorm room doorway looking like he hadn't slept in a year. His hair was shorter than I remembered, his voice lower, sharper, tired in a way no 18-year-old could fake. I hadn't seen him since he stormed out of the graduation afterparty, drunk and furious, saying something about not being able to watch it happen again. He stepped forward and said, without blinking, "I'm you, from 10 years ahead." I laughed, of course I did, until he said the name. Sophia. She's going to destroy you. My heart stopped. Not metaphorically, he added. She will ruin your future, your finances, your heart. You'll spend the next decade climbing out of a hole she digs with a smile on her face. And the worst part? You'll thank her for every shovel. I didn't believe him, not right away, but he knew things, too many things. My fake Instagram account I never told anyone about, the way Sophia calls me Jay when she's feeling sweet, the scar behind my ear from that one childhood fall. He said it all with the kind of disgust that only comes from having once been me. He didn't sugarcoat it. She cheats, he said. She lies. She strings you along with dreams of marriage, then leaves you in your 3rd year of college because your family goes bankrupt. She'll call you selfish for not having enough money. I tried to interrupt. She gaslights you until you think you're lucky to have her, he snapped. She posts breakup thirst traps before you even realize you're broken up. She's perfect in public, venom in private. You will waste your best years trying to fix someone who never planned on being fixed. He tossed a flash drive onto my desk. Videos, screenshots, voice memos. Future you tried to collect proof before the divorce. I grabbed it before I came back. My hand hovered over the drive. I didn't plug it in. I didn't need to. Ryan's eyes, my eyes, 10 years from now, already told me the truth. I reached for my phone. Jay. Sophia had just texted. I miss you already. Today was perfect. I stared at the screen for a long time, then I typed. I've thought about it. I don't think we're a good match. Let's break up. A few seconds passed, then came the reply. Wait, what? I didn't answer. Blocked, deleted, gone. Ryan let out a breath I didn't know he was holding. That was the first smart move you've ever made, he said. I looked out the window as the sun dipped low over the campus skyline. Somewhere, Sophia was reading my text. Somewhere, the future just cracked open, and I had no idea what would come crawling out. Ryan and I weren't the kind of best friends who said it out loud. We didn't take selfies or post birthday captions. We bonded the way most guys do, through years of shared trauma, trash talk, and covering for each other when one of us forgot to do the homework. Our dynamic was simple. He was the cynic who called out the universe's lies, and I was the idiot who kept falling for them. So when Ryan showed up claiming to be from the future, I assumed it was some elaborate prank, until he started quoting the exact lyrics I wrote in a song during sophomore year, the one I never showed anyone, not even him. That was the first crack. You're still writing sad lyrics about her, he said, dropping into my desk chair like he still lived in our dorm. God, it's worse than I remember. Don't act like you weren't rooting for me, I shot back. I was, he said, flatly. Until I lived through it. His tone made it impossible to joke anymore. I met Sophia at the tail end of freshman year, but I'd been in love with her long before she knew my name. She was the kind of girl who had sunlight follow her like a spotlight. Honors classes, student council, soloist in the school choir. People didn't just admire her, they projected their dreams onto her. I wasn't special for liking her, I was just the one stupid enough to try. 3 years I chased her. I memorized her coffee order, faked confidence, signed up for student council just to sit beside her. She once told a guy off for using single-use plastic, and the next day I showed up to school with a glass straw in a velvet pouch, like a moron. When she finally said yes, after graduation, after the exam stress had settled, I thought it was because she saw something in me, a spark, a moment of potential. The truth was probably closer to timing. She had the freedom to date now, and I happened to be nearby, holding my breath. The first few hours were Magical. I mean, who doesn't dream of dating the girl everyone wants? She wore pale blue on our first official date, told me I was sweet in a weird way. I nearly combusted when she kissed my cheek at the campus gates. But then, there were the cracks. She didn't post about me, not once. Even after I posted a cute selfie of us at a ramen spot, she made no comment, no repost, nothing. I figured she just wasn't a social media person. Until I saw her story 2 hours later, a mirror pic with the caption "single and unbothered." I laughed it off. She's just keeping things private, I told Ryan, back when I still thought he was regular Ryan, not future doomsday messenger Ryan. He rolled his eyes. She's not private, she's strategic. What's that supposed to mean? It means she's keeping her options open. He always said stuff like that, even before the time travel thing. Ryan had a gift for sniffing out red flags before anyone else could even spot the pole. He never liked Sophia, said she was too polished, too curated, too convenient. And then, when he returned from the future looking like he'd clawed his way back from hell, his opinions became less commentary and more prophecy. Sophia's not a mystery, he told me one night, picking through my leftover fries. She's a preview. Of what? Of your lowest point. I remember that line because it stuck. Not just for its bitterness, but because deep down, a part of me already believed it. The same part that noticed how she smiled at her phone when I wasn't talking. The same part that felt her flinch the first time I asked her to hold my hand in public. The same part that wondered why she never once introduced me to her best friends, even though she'd met mine, Deborah included. Ah, Deborah. She was the kind of girl who didn't try to be noticed, and somehow that made her impossible to ignore. Chestnut hair always tied back in a low ponytail, no makeup, glasses that slid too low when she concentrated. She worked part-time at the campus library and tutored underclassmen in calculus. The kind of girl who probably solved equations in her sleep. I first met her through Ryan. They took some elective together, ethics in modern technology or something just as pretentious, and one day he dragged me to their study session. Deborah had her laptop open, a pencil behind her ear, and a habit of correcting Ryan's logic with surgical precision. Not rudely, just efficiently. She didn't seem impressed by me. I was too loud, too desperate to prove I had something interesting to say. Sophia had once told me I had a show pony personality. Deborah didn't bother looking up unless I was genuinely quiet. "Hey," I said the first time I saw her, trying to seem cool, "you're in ethics?" She glanced at me, nodded, and went back to typing. Sophia would have flirted. Deborah didn't even blink. I didn't think about her much back then. She was background, bookish, probably dating a TA or someone equally low-key and genius. But over time, I started seeing her everywhere. At the cafe when I needed silence, in the group chat when I asked Ryan for notes, across the quad reading a philosophy book thicker than my confidence. She never smiled at me for no reason, but she never lied either. Unlike Sophia, who once told me I was the only guy who made her feel safe, then 2 days later, posted a cryptic quote about feeling trapped by mediocrity. Ryan noticed all of it, and when he came back from the future, the first thing he said, before the Sophia rant, before the cheating accusations, was, "Do not waste time, not again, go to Deborah early." I stared at him like he'd sprouted a second head. "What do? You mean, early?" "She liked you," he said simply. "Quietly, for years, but you never noticed, too busy chasing your reflection in Sophia's approval." That line, that stung. Because it was true, I hadn't seen Deborah, not really. I saw convenience, silence, a backdrop to my disaster. But Ryan didn't. Future Ryan had watched the fallout, the pain, the near breakdown, and somewhere in that hellscape of consequences, Deborah must have mattered. "Just talk to her," he said. "She works at the art building now, volunteer stuff, after classes." "What do I say?" He shrugged. "Maybe try, thanks for clapping when I sucked at singing." I blinked. "What? She'll understand." I didn't, not then, but that was the thing about time travel, right? Sometimes the answers show up before the question. So I went. And there she was, painting backdrops for the drama club with soft hands and a serious expression, sleeves rolled up like always. When she noticed me, she didn't smile. She tilted her head, curious, wary. "Hi," I said, awkward. "You remember me?" "Unfortunately," she said, deadpan. I laughed, and for the first time in weeks, it felt real. I hadn't spoken to Sophia since I sent that breakup text, one message. That's all it took to shatter 3 years of obsession. But when someone's used to having control, silence isn't closure, it's a declaration of war. Ryan was already 2 steps ahead. He never asked if I regretted it, just started pulling out receipts like he was building a case file, screenshots, recordings, photos he said I'd taken myself 10 years from now, while trying to prove to a divorce court that I'd been emotionally abused. One video showed Sophia smiling at some dinner party, fingers brushing against a guy's arm, same guy who, according to Ryan, I'd once caught her texting at 2 a.m. with the name saved as cousin in her phone. There were voice memos too, me, in the future, whispering into my phone while she argued in the next room. I sounded broken. She said I made her cry on purpose. I was literally apologizing for not answering her text while I was asleep. She posted that reel right after telling me she needed space. And now she's in Bali with that guy? I couldn't believe I'd become that version of myself, crawling through my own wreckage, trying to piece together evidence while the world praised her curated heartbreak. You were still defending her, Ryan said, scrolling through his own files. Even then, even after she drained your savings pretending her mom was sick, after she made you cut off Deborah. I froze. What do you mean, cut off Deborah? Ryan looked at me. You'll get close to her, closer than you expect. Sophia won't like it. She'll twist everything until you push Deborah away, thinking it's your choice. I didn't know what to say. My throat felt dry. That afternoon, I found Sophia waiting outside my psych lecture, wearing a lavender dress she used to say made her feel soft and divine. She smiled like nothing had happened, like I hadn't just blocked her 2 days ago. Your side. Hard to catch these days, she said sweetly, tucking her hair behind her ear. I looked around, confused. Why are you here? She blinked. To fix us, obviously. You were probably just emotional when you texted me. It's okay, I forgive you. I stared at her. Forgive me? She stepped forward and touched my chest lightly. You love me, you've loved me for years, you think that just stops because of a mood swing? I gently moved her hand. It wasn't a mood swing, Sophia. Her smile faltered. Then what was it? I'm done. I'm not in this anymore. She tilted her head. Did Ryan say something to you? I said nothing. She laughed. Oh my God, he told you, didn't he? He finally cracked. My chest went cold. What do you mean, finally? Sophia didn't answer. She just walked closer and whispered, You think he's the only one who came back? I took a step back. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. I died, John. That night you married someone else, I died, not dramatically, just quietly, inside. I was crossing the street after seeing your wedding photos, got hit by a truck. I stared at her in horror. Right before I blacked out, a voice asked me, if you could go back, would you fix it? And I said yes. I said I could make you love me again. And then, I was here. Back. High school graduation day. I picked the moment you loved me most. Her smile grew hollow. But you're not playing along, you're not following the script. I was too stunned to speak. I'm the one you chased, she hissed. I'm the girl you wrote songs for, the one you cried over in Ryan's car. You're mine, in every timeline. That's when I knew. She wasn't just manipulative, she was obsessed, with me, with the past, with rewriting a future she had already destroyed. I turned away without another word. Later, Ryan met me outside the library, holding 2 coffees and looking way too calm for someone who just confirmed his psycho ex was also a time traveler. So, he said, handing me one, did she drop the reincarnation bomb? She said she came back to make me love her again. Ryan nodded like it was nothing. Yup, she used to say that at your wedding too. I had a wedding? Yeah, Deborah, spring wedding, pink tie, you cried. I almost dropped my cup. You're telling me I married Deborah? Don't get ahead of yourself, you're still dumb right now. I narrowed my eyes. Then why'd you come back? His voice softened. Because you lost her, Sophia ruined everything. You pushed Deborah away, not realizing she was your one safe place, and by the time you figured it out. He didn't finish. That night, I saw Deborah by the art building again. She was sorting paintbrushes into jars, sleeves rolled up, a faint smudge of blue on her cheek. She looked like calm in human form. Need help? I asked. She looked up, surprised. You paint? Not really, but I can stir water like a pro. She smiled. It was small, but real. We didn't talk much. Just sat in comfortable silence, and in that silence, I realized something. She never asked for attention, never posted for likes, never pretended to be someone she wasn't. She was real. I walked her back to her dorm that night. At the steps, she turned to me and said, "You've seemed different lately, not in a bad way, just sharper. Tired." I laughed. "Time travel will do that to you." She chuckled, thinking I was joking. I didn't correct her. "Good night, John," she said, her voice soft. "Night, Deborah." And as I turned to leave, I knew Sophia wasn't done. But this time, neither was I. The first video came at 2:14 a.m. I was half asleep, one sock on, phone screen lighting up the ceiling. Sophia's name glowed across the screen with the kind of authority it used to hold over my entire emotional state. Curiosity overrode common sense. I tapped. It was a close-up of her face, dim lighting, her lips barely moving, voice soft as silk. "I still remember how your hand shook the first time you touched mine," she whispered. "You were so gentle, so scared. Do you think I forgot that?" The clip faded into darkness. No caption, no explanation, just silence. I didn't reply. But the second video came an hour later, then a voice memo, then a crying selfie, wet mascara and all, timestamped with a caption, "Why do you hate me so much?" By morning, my inbox looked like the inside of a grief museum curated by an influencer. Apology reels, old photos, a song cover she once said was ours, now resent with a whispered, "Listen to the lyrics, please." Ryan scrolled through the mess beside me on the dorm couch, expression stuck somewhere between a grimace and amusement. This is what happens when a narcissist discovers TikTok trends and time travel at the same time. "She was never like this before," I muttered. He raised an eyebrow. "She was never this desperate before." I locked my phone, throat dry. What if I'm making a mistake? Ryan sighed. "That's the trick. She doesn't actually want you. She wants control over the version of you that used to need her." I stayed quiet. Ryan leaned forward. "Do you know how I knew she was a lost cause? She never asked how you were doing. Even now, all these messages, 'I miss you, I'm hurting, I feel dead,' it's all about her." The worst part, he was right. She didn't once ask how I was, just assumed she still had a key to my heart and tried to pick the lock with old photos and baby-voiced voice memos. Meanwhile, Deborah brought me fee. No videos, no texts, just coffee in a reused paper cup with a little heart drawn in pen. She left it on my desk in the study lounge and slipped away before I could even say thanks. A day later, it was a granola bar and a sticky note. "Don't forget to eat. I heard from Ryan you've been skipping meals." She didn't hover, didn't ask for updates, she didn't even mention Sophia, she just noticed things and helped quietly. By the third day, the tension was unbearable. I couldn't focus in class, my hands trembled when I scrolled through my phone. Sophia's messages had shifted tone, less sad, more seductive. One was just a video of her in a silk robe, leaning against her window at sunset. She whispered, "I know what you want, I know what you miss, let me show you who I really am this time." I tossed the phone to Ryan, he nearly dropped it. "Jesus Christ," he muttered, "she's gone full ex machina." My laugh came out strained. Is it bad that part of me wants to believe her? Ryan didn't answer, he just looked at me, long and hard, then said, "You remember the night before your old wedding? What about it? You cried, John. You stood outside the chapel alone and said, 'I think I'm marrying a nightmare.' I swallowed hard. That version of you would have killed to be here, to have a redo. Don't waste it." Later that night, I found Deborah sitting cross-legged on the grass behind the art building. She was sketching the side of an old lamppost, eyes narrowed, hair tied back messily. She looked up when I sat beside her. "You okay?" she asked, voice low. I nodded, then shook my head, then shrugged. She smiled gently. "Want to not talk about it?" God, yes I did. So we sat in silence. She passed me a thermos of jasmine tea and kept sketching. Her shoulder brushed mine once, barely, and she didn't flinch when I didn't move away. That was the difference. Sophia's touch had always felt staged, timed, a reward, or a threat. Deborah's presence felt like air, weightless but necessary. The next day, Sophia cornered me outside the cafe. Midday campus traffic, no escape. She stood in front of me, pale pink coat, hair curled to perfection, a box in her hands. "I made you something," she said, voice too sweet. It's all your favorite things, the spicy chocolate, the socks with planets, that weird tea you liked. I didn't ask for this, I said quietly. But you want it, she smiled. You always do. I want peace. Her smile cracked. You're mine in every lifetime, she said suddenly, eyes blazing. You think you get to just walk away? I came back for you. I died for you. The air around us tightened. Students started slowing down, watching. I said nothing. You don't even care, do you? She snapped, her voice rising. I bled for you, I shattered for you, and you? Stop, I said, gently but firmly. You're not in love with me. You're in love with the version of me that needed saving. She stared at me like I'd just broken her in half. And then, calmly, she whispered, You'll regret this. I walked away without replying. That evening, I found Deborah packing paint supplies into a tote bag. I offered to carry it. She handed it to me without a word. As we walked, she said, You look like someone who just survived a hurricane. Something like that. I'm glad, she said softly. I looked at her. That you survived, she added. And for the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel like it was being squeezed by a fist I couldn't see. I wasn't healed, but I wasn't haunted either. I didn't hear from Sophia for 2 days. No texts, no voice memos, no moody night walks live streamed to Instagram with vague captions about rebirth and destiny. I should have felt relief. I should have slept easier. But silence from someone like Sophia wasn't peace, it was a pause before the next detonation. Ryan was the first to pick up on it. We were sitting outside the library, him sipping black coffee like it was a coping mechanism, me still replaying the public cafe scene over and over in my head. She's quiet, he said, no preamble. I nodded. She's planning something, he added. That was the thing about Ryan, he never asked if I was okay. He just analyzed the situation like we were playing chess and the queen was missing from the board. I tried to shake it off. Maybe she got tired. Ryan looked at me like I'd just confessed I still believed in Santa. She doesn't get tired, John. She recalibrates. The next morning, it came. Not to me, to Deborah. She found me outside the art building, holding her phone, eyes unreadable. Her hands were still smudged with paint, her laces loosely tied like always, but something about the way she was standing felt guarded. John, she said softly, Sophia called me. I blinked. Wait, what? She said she just wanted to talk, Deborah continued, that she needed to warn me. I stood up, the bench creaking beneath me. Warn you about what? Deborah looked at me for a long second, then said, about the future. My chest tightened. What did she say? That I marry you. The world slowed. She said I'm your wife, Deborah added, in the future. I swallowed. And what else? She said you only married me because she wasn't available, because you felt guilty for pushing me away. She said you never loved me the way you loved her, that you settled. I didn't even feel the rage at first. It started somewhere small, like a drop of ink in clear water. Slowly, it bloomed. I didn't believe her, Deborah said quickly, sensing the storm rising behind my eyes. I don't think you're the kind of person who would do that. But her voice was quieter than usual, less certain. I stepped closer. Deborah, I haven't even kissed you. We haven't started anything. I haven't made any promises. How can I settle for something I haven't even asked for? She blinked. Then, blushed. That blush was like a match striking in the dark. I'm sorry she dragged you into this, I said. You didn't deserve that. Deborah looked down. She wanted to get in my head. Did she succeed? Silence. Then, in a whisper, a little. I took a breath. What if I said, she's right. About one thing. Deborah's eyes flicked up to meet mine. She isn't my future, I said. But you, maybe you could be, if you'd have me. Her lips parted slightly. She wasn't breathing. I swear the wind paused just to listen. So, she said slowly, I'm your wife? I froze. She flushed instantly. I mean, not now. Obviously not now. I'm not. God, that came out wrong. I laughed. I couldn't help it. For the first time in days, the sound felt real. Don't backpedal, I teased. You said it. Claim it. She groaned and buried her face in her hands. Ryan is going to kill me. I won't tell him if you don't. Her voice was muffled. You'll tell him immediately. I grinned. Probably. Then her hands lowered, and she looked at me, not as a crush, not as a maybe, just as me, as John. I don't care if I'm your wife, she said, I just don't want to be a choice made from pain. You're not, I said without hesitation. You're the choice I never saw clearly until now. But you were always there. We stood there in the sun, quiet and unsure, and filled with something more terrifying than Sophia's threats, hope. Of course, that's when the message came in. It wasn't from Sophia this time. It was a notification from the campus board system. Urgent, library building evacuated due to disruption on 3rd floor. Ryan appeared 2 minutes later, already running. She's there, he said breathlessly. She asked for an audience. I didn't need to ask who, I was already moving. By the time we reached the building, a crowd had formed outside. Someone whispered about a girl shouting on the top floor. Another said she was threatening to jump. Someone else had called campus security. We pushed through. When we got to the top of the stairwell, she was standing in the open study area, arms spread, a crowd of stunned students forming a half circle at a distance. Her voice was clear. You all think I'm crazy, Sophia said, but what would you do if your whole life burned down in front of you? She turned slowly, eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on me. You, she said. You're the one who ruined it. I said nothing, just stood still. You weren't supposed to change, she whispered, louder now. You weren't supposed to get smarter, you were supposed to follow the script. I don't want your script, I said. I came back for you, she shouted, her voice cracking. I died for you, I was alone, in pain, and the only thing I wanted, the only thing, was you. And you lost me, I said. That's the consequence, not a tragedy. Sophia laughed, but it wasn't a laugh, it was something else, twisted, unraveling. Do you know what the voice said when it sent me back? She asked. It said, make him love you again, that was the condition. And did it? I asked. She blinked. Did I love you again? She opened her mouth, closed it. And in that pause, something inside her broke. You're choosing her, she spat, eyes wild. A quiet little wallflower who doesn't even know what you like for breakfast. You're throwing away history for comfort. I'm choosing someone who never tried to break me, I said. That's more than comfort, that's survival. Sophia dropped the box she was holding. It shattered, ceramic spilling across the floor, a mess of sharp petals and broken glass. A replica of the first gift I ever gave her. Pathetic, beautiful, tragic. Then security came. They spoke to her gently, led her away. No cuffs, no screaming, just a girl with shaking hands and mascara running down her cheeks, walking into the quiet end of a story she refused to let die. Ryan clapped a hand on my shoulder. Well, he said. That escalated quickly. I didn't laugh. I just watched her go, then turned to Ryan. Is it over? I asked. He looked at me, then at the stairs where Deborah waited, clutching her sketchbook to her chest. That part? He said. Yeah, I think so. It happened at closing time. The sky outside was painted in that late summer burn, peach fading into lavender, the clouds soaked in golden hour like everything was holding its breath before nightfall. I was wiping down the last table at the cafe where Deborah and I had both picked up part-time shifts. She was behind the counter, sleeves rolled, hair in a messy knot, talking softly to a customer who lingered too long over their receipt. Ryan was slumped in a corner booth with his laptop open, typing furiously. His hoodie was pulled halfway over his face, his coffee long gone cold. He'd been working all day on something, never said what, but whatever it was, had his jaw clenched like he was trying to bite back time itself. It was peaceful. It didn't last. The door slammed open so hard the little bell snapped off and clattered to the floor. Sophia stood in the entryway. Her heels clicked across the tile like gunshots. She didn't even hesitate, just walked straight toward me like the universe owed her that direct path. I stepped back instinctively, rag still in my hand, water dripping from the edges. Deborah looked up and froze. Ryan didn't move, but I could feel his body go still. You, Sophia spat. You're supposed to love me. Every customer turned. Someone near the door muttered, "Whoa." Another pulled out their phone. I gave up everything for you, she said, voice rising. Do you even know what that means? I rewrote time for you. I broke fate. I begged for a second chance and you're wasting it. I took a slow breath. This isn't love, Sophia. Then what is it? She snapped. That? She pointed at Deborah. Her? The girl who claps when you breathe right? Who follows you around like a soft little shadow, waiting for scraps? Deborah stood still. She didn't look angry. She just looked tired. She's not a replacement, I said. She's a reality. One you never had the courage to fold. Ace. Sophia's mouth trembled. I was your first everything. You were my first mistake. That one landed. She staggered like I'd struck her. Ryan stood now, quietly walking forward with his laptop tucked under his arm. Before you go full monologue, he said, you should know I've posted everything, all of it. Sophia's eyes snapped toward him. The manipulation, he continued, the emotional blackmail, the recordings from our past life, your voice saying you'd rather die than watch him be happy with someone else. He held up the screen. The post was already live, anonymous, but the audio was unmistakably her. You can't erase everything, Sophia, he said gently, even if you go back again. She turned to me, desperate. Please, John, you don't have to forgive me, just don't throw me away, not after everything. Don't choose her over me. Deborah stepped forward then. Her voice was soft, almost unsure. I never wanted to replace her, she said. I'm not here to win. I'm not here to gloat. Sophia turned, eyes narrowing. But, Deborah added, voice steadying, I won't walk away if you ask me to stay. That's when I knew. It wasn't about who loved me more, it was about who loved me without conditions. I looked at Sophia, the girl I'd once worshipped, the dream that had consumed me. Then I looked at Deborah, the woman who had waited without waiting, who had offered nothing except her presence and still given everything. I've liked you for a while, I said to Deborah, voice low but firm. I just didn't see it clearly until I stopped trying to fix the past. Her eyes glistened, not with surprise, but with relief. I know, she whispered. Sophia let out a small, choked sound. This isn't over, she said to no one. Time doesn't just end here. Maybe not, Ryan replied, but this timeline, this one's done with you. Sophia turned and left. Not with a scream, not with a dramatic collapse, but with a hollow click of her heels and the scent of citrus perfume lingering like regret. As the door shut, the cafe seemed to breathe again. The air cleared, someone started clapping. Ryan rolled his eyes. Deborah turned to me, cheeks flushed. I stepped closer. No fireworks, no swelling music, just the sound of our breaths mingling and the low hum of the world resuming. I cupped her face gently. Are you sure? I asked. She nodded. I was sure the first time I saw you. I just didn't know I was allowed to be. And then I kissed her. No urgency, no performance, just soft, right, home. Outside, the sun dipped below the edge of the sky. And in that golden moment, fate rewrote itself, not with noise or drama, but with the quiet click of two people choosing each other, finally, in the right time. It was strange how fast life rearranged itself after the storm, like the universe had been holding its breath the whole time, and now it was finally allowed to exhale. Sophia didn't come back to campus. Not officially. But her name lingered like a rumor. People whispered about the outburst at the cafe, about the anonymous post that leaked online, the one with audio of her sobbing and threatening to end it all if I didn't take her back. There were screenshots too. Cropped texts, a few shaky clips showing her slipping notes into other girls' bags with false claims about me. Accusations, lies, disguised concern designed to isolate me from everyone else. It all unraveled. Campus security filed a report. Someone from Student Affairs contacted me for a statement. The school issued a formal warning and banned her from student buildings. The final straw was when someone, likely Sophia herself, started spreading edited photos of me online, with captions twisting my breakup into some villain origin story. She went too far. And the moment she crossed that line, the last thread of public sympathy snapped. She was issued a restraining order. Not by me. By the university. Ryan was the one who filed the formal complaint, using every receipt he brought back from the future. He handed them over like sacred scrolls, his jaw tight the whole time. When I asked him if he was okay, he just said, "It's not for me, it's for the version of you who couldn't say no." I didn't push further. Instead, I focused on the present, on the girl who wore flannel shirts in July and painted her fingers with watercolor when she was nervous. Deborah. We didn't make things official with a post or a label. That wasn't her style. We just started walking home together more often, sharing playlists, leaving notes inside each other's books. She brought me coffee like always, but now she stayed while I drank it. 180 Uzindi. Vening, while we were picking out our college preferences side by side in the library, she quietly slid her form across the table to me. I looked at the top school on her list. It matched mine. I smiled. Was this planned? Maybe, she murmured, not looking up. Maybe I just don't want to have to miss you. That same night, Ryan met a girl at a philosophy seminar. Her name was Elise. She had a scar on her wrist she never tried to hide, and a laugh that didn't match her silence. I watched them talk from across the quad, him, guarded and cynical, her, listening like she could hear what he wasn't saying. They weren't a story yet, but something was beginning. One evening, Deborah and I walked home from campus after a late tutoring session. The wind had cooled down, brushing the trees in waves. Streetlights blinked softly overhead, casting golden puddles of light on the pavement. Our hands brushed, not accidental, not quite deliberate either. I reached out and took her fingers gently. She looked down, then at me, then away again. I have to ask you something, I said. Okay. Why me? She didn't laugh, she didn't hesitate. She just said, because you clapped when I couldn't sing. I stopped walking. That performance, she continued, our first year, my best friend dragged me on stage. I cracked, everyone laughed, and then, from the crowd, just one pair of hands, slow, stubborn, yours. I don't even remember doing that, I whispered. I do, she said, and I remembered it every time you looked at her like she hung the stars. I turned to face her fully. I'm sorry it took me so long. She smiled. You came back. That's enough. We stood under the streetlight. I leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Her lips were soft, warm, familiar, like something I didn't know I'd been waiting to feel. When we pulled apart, she exhaled like she'd been holding that barrage for years, and I realized, I had been too. We kept walking, hands intertwined. The road ahead was long, college applications, new chapters, memories still healing in the corners of my chest, but for once, I didn't feel trapped in some fixed timeline. I wasn't doomed to repeat mistakes or chase someone else's version of love. I was here, with her. And as we walked through the golden wash of quiet streetlights, I said the only thing that felt true. The future? She looked at me, eyes steady. We'll write it together.